Welcome, everyone. I'm Connie Borden, SoA President, and I'm pleased to be joined with H.F. Ito, Master Instructor and co-founder of Shintaido of America. Today, we are discussing Ito's work in the early 2000s and now in 2023 about the book Shakunetsu, Chronicles of the Creation of Shintaido, a Japanese martial art. This book by Pierre Quettier contains interviews with 19 people who studied in the 1960s and 1970s with Aoki Sensei, before Shintaido was called Shintaido. In the opening of the book, Peter Furtado writes, Shakunetsu literally means scorching heat, the heat of the furnace that turns steel white hot before it is beaten and folded to create a precious, potent, beautiful katana. The heat that Aoki Sensei alluded to in his visionary manifesto for a new martial art beyond karate, a manifesto he titled Life Burn. Welcome, Ito Sensei.
Hi, good evening.
Tell me your first thoughts when Pierre Quettier reached out to you about his idea to interview the former Raku Tenkai members.
I know Pierre a long time, and it didn't happen all of a sudden. He always shared his idea. Some point he liked to interview Raku Tenkai member, then write a kind of report as a sociologist. But I didn't know he's writing more like academic book, but I was happy to cooperate. I think the beginning of 2000, Japanese broadcasting company is called NHK, Nihon Hoso Kyokai, had a program is called Project X. Director of this program want to focus not Mr. Honda directly, those who support Mr. Honda make Honda become worldwide successful company. 60, 70, Japanese entrepreneurship was very successful, then made the Japanese economy. Of course, everyone knows who is Honda, but behind Mr. Honda, so many people work for them as an engineer or research and develop group. So this project kind of spotlight those who are ready to be forgotten, how much effort they put. So Project X director is spotlighted so-and-so engineer or advisor worked hard and at last made Sony, Honda, Matsushita very successful. So when Pierre asked me like this, I got same idea. Of course, everyone respect Aoki Sensei's founder of Shintaido. Aoki Sensei didn't do everything. As you know, that we had Raku Tenkai. Many Raku Tenkai members helped him to develop his idea, support him. And then especially Shintaido is a body movement. But in order to express his art, he always need someone kind of counterpart who can play with him. So a Raku Tenkai member was kind of a guinea pig, and then we are so happy. We are young and enthusiastic, and we love Aoki Sensei, and everyone was happy to devote themselves, help him to actualize his dream. But later, of course, many of us are very happy Aoki Sensei became well-known in the public like this. Each of Raku Tenkai members didn't have a chance to express himself, herself, how much effort they put in order to make Aoki Sensei successful. Behind the scenery, backstage work, all backstage work. So when Pierre asked me to do this one, okay, I'm so happy because I know kind of detail. Aoki Sensei came up with certain idea. He was doing a lot of committee research with certain Rakutenkai member. He always looking for the committee partner, good committee partner. And so when we are young, we are so enthusiastic, happy. When Pierre came up this idea of how they incorporate Aoki Sensei's artwork.
What Pierre calls us is the life stories. And I think that's what you were collecting, was their life stories of when they were very involved in Shintaido and then what went on in their lives afterwards. Very, very powerful to collect that.
Right.
Yeah. Tell me, you were very busy with Pierre. Tell us some more about how you set up these interviews, how you collected the interviews. And this was about, what, 2003, I think?
Right away, I asked the Shiko Hokari's cooperation. And then, of course, he was happy to cooperate. He was very much involved in the Shintaido activity, actual martial site Shintaido activity until end of 1980. But he had so many car accidents or whatever. So physically, he got limitation. He gave up actual exercise part of Shintaido. But he has a good personality, so he kept contact with all of former Rakutenkai member. Because he has all address list, old fashioned, the mailing list he had and the telephone number or whatever. When Pierre and I arrived Japan, taking advantage of Hokari's mailing list, I call everyone. So that's how we could approach most of them. So I was so happy.
How long were you spending doing these interviews? How long was this process?
Yeah, so long process. Many of them, of course, don't speak English. So I was kind of interviewer in Japanese. Important role was Mieko Hirano, because when I interviewed former Rakutenkai member, Pierre asked me question in English, and I do my translation, and I asked the member in Japanese. Of course, they answer in Japanese, and the broken English I translated to Pierre. Then later, Mieko Hirano, can listen directly what Japanese saying in Japanese, comparing Pierre's note and the way she understood. She corrected all of the report into French.
Wow.
So Pierre got a more clear idea.
Wow. To see people that you hadn't seen then since what, maybe 1975? What was that like for you?
Very emotional. Some people, more than 20 years, I didn't see. And then, of course, some people are really friendly because of my character, like this. Since Rakutenkai days, some of them don't like me. Ito, no, like this. But I described the reason I came with Pierre, so they were happy to share their memory.
Yeah. So then the book came out and was released in French. What kind of responses did you get after it came out in French? Are you aware of any particular response?
Pierre was happy and proud. Japanese are very proud. So they said, "Oh, thank you. Wow, it's beautiful like this. Nice looking book and academic book." And they could not read, but each of them are in this book. So that's mostly Japanese. French group, Shintaido practitioner, I think presently practicing maybe 50 Shintaido instructor.
Mhm.
Actually, some of them stopped doing Shintaido, but when they read Pierre's book, they never practice together with Rakutenkai member. But when Rakutenkai member talk about certain experience, what happened to they doing Eiko Dai or whatever like this, so they can relate themselves.
Mhm.
So that's I heard from French practitioner. They were so happy, more beyond the time and space. I feel Rakutenkai member.
Mhm. Yeah, that seems like an important concept, to read about people who are doing a practice and then be able to relate to them.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're moving into having an English version. What you hope for them as they read an English version?
One thing I hope is just like many French Shintaido practitioners felt, Rakutenkai member, most of them, they never met.
Yes.
English-speaking Shintaido member never met it.
Mhm.
But hope same thing happened to them.
Mm.
They became very closer to Rakutenkai beyond the time and space. Also, Aoki Sensei described Shintaido itself, but Pierre's way writing book is what actually happened 60, 70 in Japan, kind of lifestyle and how poor society was very chaotic.
Mhm.
So right wing, left wing, like this, and then U.S. power coming like this, and then many Japanese
Mhm.
got confused. In that time, Aoki Sensei came up with Shintaido. If you could find this condition, you'll appreciate Shintaido more, Aoki Sensei's spirit more.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What do you want to say to people about why they should read Shakunetsu?
I think it's not only kind of Project X and how much Rakutenkai member supported Aoki Sensei. That's one of the important points. The period Shintaido came up, social condition of Japan, confusion.
Mhm.
Aoki Sensei came up with Shintaido.
Mhm.
That's, for me, that is amazing. Shintaido is like Aoki Sensei wrote introduction of Shintaido book. Shintaido is light for dark world or something like that.
And Shakunetsu means something very similar with incandescent, correct?
Shakunetsu is more like how hot energy was in Rakutenkai.
Mhm.
That's a Shakunetsu. Right. Yeah, another thing is like people in Rakutenkai is because the world around them is really confused and then not much hope. So they were ready to betting their life. They were happy to support Aoki Sensei to find his art.
Feels like it's a message even for today's world, is to bet one's life on the hope and finding the mystery. I think there's still, it resonates in today's world too. So in that setting of what had been great poverty and some confusion over what is Japanese culture, tell me what Shintaido brought to people. What was Aoki Sensei bringing with Shintaido in that time and period of poverty, American dominance, confusion over what's Japanese? What did Aoki Sensei bring?
Of course, Shintaido became kind of body movement, but I think he wanted to call back original spirit of Japan, which is not based on materialism
Ah.
or philosophy, or not necessarily religion, more kind of principle
Mhm.
as a ningen, human.
Mhm.
So this is his way of expressing himself, how Japanese could come back to good Japanese.
Mm.
I think that's why Shintaido was so important in Japanese. But the funny part is in the 60s, 70s, American, French left their own country, and then through the India, they came to Japan. Those who are kind of liberal, they left their own country and went to India.
Mhm.
And while they are staying in India, they heard about Japanese art discipline, flower arrangement or calligraphy or martial art, of course, Zen. So that's how they came. 1970, we have so many foreigners visiting. So they were also looking for true humanity. Some of them went to Aikido, and then other of them went to Zen or whatever like this. And then we are Shintaido officers in Shinjuku. So these people always come. Shinjuku was a kind of cultural center of not necessarily hippie, young foreigner who is looking for truth or myth of East, myth of East. In the beginning, Shintaido jump or Eiko Dai, for instance.
Mhm.
Eiko Dai is especially, I would say, designed for Japanese. Kind of humbleness is more important than blah. So I can say, well, now international age is coming, so we need blah, more. We should be able to express ourselves, speak out. But before the Shintaido, everything like, for tea ceremony is typical example. Good discipline like this. But Aoki Sensei don't trust this kind of phony, fake.
It's a veneer. It's the outside. It's not the truth.
That's right.
Yeah. Mhm.
But Aoki Sensei wanted Japanese to be more honest, ready to speak out. Aoki Sensei designed the Eiko Dai and also lower limb development. That's how Kaikyakusho, many jumping exercise. Japanese is very small. In order to be ready to fight, physically fight back from Japanese point of view, most westernized, more physically. Then Aoki Sensei took it a challenge. Well, we should come up nice, good discipline through martial art, with which Japanese, even little Japanese guy can handle big Western. So that's how the many kind of jumping exercise.
Mm.
And Eiko Dai is in order to change Japanese character.
Uh-huh.
But those who came in the 70s, many French, American, they practice it. They really, really love it. So then they end up doing Eiko Dai like this. Their Eiko Dai became again more spectacular than Japanese Eiko Dai. So it's kind of irony.
Thank you very much, Ito Sensei.
Hey, thank you.